2007 Dakar, the toughest rally in the world. Live the adventure, only on Supersports. Proudly brought to you by Total Quartz Lubricants.
This is the international feed from the Dakar Rally 2007, broadcasting live to the world from Lisbon in Portugal. Bas avec les effets. A little lower with the effects. Not quite so low. Bas. Okay. I can only just hear me. A bit more. Okay, that'll do. That's fine.
That's fine?
Yeah.
Okay. Olivier et Patrick, tu me dis quand est-ce qu'on peut y aller et on envoie, c'est parti.
Okay.
Okay. Just come here, please, Patrick. Okay. With some places. Are you ready? It's okay for you?
Is this from the start?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a second, okay?
Yeah.
Could you speak?
Test.
Portuguese talent rose to the fore on the opening stage of the 2007 Dakar. Okay.
C'est parti. 18h23:40.
A new year and a new challenge. The 2007 Dakar is finally underway with a testing stage for the first day in Portugal. It was tough for the bikes, it was tough for the cars, and it was tougher still for the trucks. Some of the favourites were in trouble. And for some, a taste of what was to come. Early morning and pre-dawn freezing temperatures in Lisbon for the official start of the 2007 Dakar, with the last man in the quad category in the motorcycle event being the first off the start ramp. A rare moment in the spotlight, but as the sun rose, the heroes were out in force as well. Massive crowds have come to see this second Lisbon start for the Dakar, and all eyes were on local hero Carlos Sousa's Volkswagen. After the bikes and the cars, finally the trucks, and another rousing send-off for Portuguese lady Elizabeth Jacinto. The first stage of the 2007 Dakar featured 117 kilometres of testing sandy, rocky Portuguese tracks. Cold and mist awaited the competitors, adding to the nervousness many would have felt as they embarked on their great journey. In these conditions, no one could be sure what awaited them. It was a bitterly cold and foggy ride from Lisbon to the Algarve for the first stage of the Dakar. Icy temperatures and damp air biting into the muscles, adding to the apprehension that all will have felt before the adrenaline kicked in as the start countdown reached zero. And so it began, for some a little untidily perhaps, but for the locals a chance to shine. Local Ruben Faria thrilled the crowds, blasting his Yamaha through the stage 16 seconds faster than his closest rival. He claimed the first stage win, and glory for the Portuguese and for Yamaha. He wasn't alone either. Helder Rodriguez made it a 1-2 for the local riders and for Yamaha. No one is expecting the Portuguese to be on top of the podium in Dakar, but one of them may well be leading when we get to Morocco on Monday. So what of the expected front runners? Well, the best placed was Cedric Esteve. He'll be hoping that this morning's small crash has got his bad luck out of the way for 2007. Despite this fall, he heads the KTM hordes, though he's 5 minutes off the lead of the event. Frenchman David Castor, Esteve's water carrier, initially looked to have been the top KTM through the stage, but a timing error was later corrected, and he now sits just 7 seconds off his teammate's wheel. The tracks cut up badly and they cut up fast. Even the heroes were finding the going tough. Esteve and water carrier Castor are experienced in this going, but you don't perhaps expect a first stage to be quite so enduro. Castor had a narrow brush with the scenery. No real damage done, though he later joked that his only pair of trousers was looking very second-hand. 35-year-old Thierry Baptiste from France loves the sand. He's a 3-time winner of the grueling all-day Le Touquet Beach Marathon. No surprise, perhaps, then, to see the Honda Europe rider showing most of the field how it should be done. Baptiste was 5th on the stage, 6th, another surprise, perhaps, Jonas Street, the fastest American rider. His Rally Pan America team KTM 525 just 19 seconds slower than the very latest factory model. Red Bull rider Chris Blaze might well have expected to be the top US man on this year's Dakar, and he may yet be, but not for the moment, trailing his compatriot by 14 seconds. He's 7th overnight. This early stage wasn't much to Pal Anders Oliverseter's liking. The Norwegian said the sand dug up very quickly to make deep ruts, and the huge numbers of spectators were at times worryingly close to the piste. 24-year-old Fabien Planet gained his free entry to this year's Dakar as the winner of the Dakar Enduro Challenge contest. His place in the top 10 this morning in 9th proves that we have a new young talent on our hands. And as for compatriot Cyril Desprez, well, he was forced to ride very slowly through the closing 4 kilometres of the stage. He was running out of gas and couldn't do anything other than keep the bike upright. The team had calculated the amount he should carry based on the length of the stage, but the soft sand and deep ruts had pushed fuel consumption right up. A surprise then to see Desprez in 10th, even more so to see Komar, last year's winner, in 13th position. But he knows the sands of Portugal won't be where the rally is won, but it can be easily lost here with any small mistake. Komar firmly believes the Dakar doesn't really start until you get to Africa. So confirmation then of the Portuguese and Yamaha 1-2. Isede Estre is the top international rider in 5th position. And out of the top 10, Mark Komar in 13th spot.
Correu muito bem. Era uma especial muito técnica.
I rode pretty well, says Helder Rodriguez. It was a very technical stage, and from the beginning I pushed really hard. Later I managed to control the speed a bit more, so I didn't get too tired, and finally made it to the finish. It was quite a difficult stage though. Just so thrilled to finish in the top 3. Really happy for the team and delighted for the fans. Esteve said it was a very unusual stage with lots of sand, some of it very soft. It was like being on a Dutch motocross track. But it's a good warm-up for this rally, which is going to be very long, very tough, and probably very sandy. The main problem, though, was passing. You had to be careful. It was difficult to decide when to pass, on the left or on the right, because the track was so narrow. Not easy to find a good, safe place to get by. David Castor says, I was full throttle on the track. Suddenly, a privateer came straight out of the middle of the crowd. He'd stopped and then restarted, and I couldn't avoid him. Hit him on his front wheel, he fell to one side, I fell to the other. I stood up and I helped him and joined the race a bit, but I was feeling a little rattled after that. Really tough time, said Thierry Bettis. It had everything this stage, dunes, sand, soft sand. I passed a few guys, it was pretty technical. There were a lot of fallers, very difficult through the trees as well, very hard to find good speed with all the different dangers that awaited you.
But I had a really good time. I enjoyed it a lot. I don't ride much of that at home, and it was a new experience, but I had a lot of fun. I never knew that there was sand in between pine trees. I'd never ridden that before, and of course I hit one tree just a little bit, but it's okay.
Mark Komar claimed his first Dakar win on last year's event, beating close rival Cyril Desprez in a tough fight to lift the illustrious trophy. Back home in Andorra, Mark's mechanics look after his bikes, including the one that he first finished a Dakar on in 2003. This is the bike that first finished the Dakar with me. Completely standard, really not a lot of extra preparation. The good luck for me, though, was that Nani Roma and Isidre Esteve both retired, so I got helped out by the factory mechanics. They then had time to work on my bike, so for me, the nights weren't quite as long as they had been. He's got super motard, enduro, motocross and trials bikes in his collection, and he uses them all regularly to fine-tune different aspects of his riding technique. So here's the current stable, he says. Here's the enduro bike. That's useful during the final days for refining your technique. I use a super motard. It's really just for fun as much as anything else. The motocross bike I use to train for speed and technique.
El motocross nos va muy bien para la velocidad y agresividad, que con la moto grande se va perdiendo. Luego el enduro también técnicamente es muy bueno y es parecido al trial, pero el trial un poco más extremo.
There are two sides to every Dakar. For the factory riders, it's all about minutes and seconds. For the amateurs and for the fans, it's more about survival in extremis. Being in Africa for many days and spending a lot of time in the desert, says Mark, has developed my adventurous streak. So now I really like that side of the Dakar as well. I really appreciate it. In the beginning, I was totally focused on the race, 100% on the riding. But now I can take time to appreciate the other side of it, and I really enjoy the adventure of it all. The Dakar, it seems, has got under his skin.
Spain, a race to the Mediterranean. Drivers have some tough choices to make along the sheer cliffs on the way to Malaga. The route is fast, but the penalty of a mistake could prove fatal if a driver plunges into a ravine. Taking a calculated risk is the essence of rallying. Make the journey with Team Mitsubishi. Every time we race, you win. The 2007 Dakar Rally, only on Supersport.
Fog, cold and traffic jams couldn't deter them. The crowds were out in huge numbers for the start of the 2007 Dakar. And for older competitors like Sainz and Vatanen, memories of the numbers of spectators that used to jam the stages in the Rally of Portugal's heyday. They were all waiting, though, to see one man, the Portuguese Baja champion, Carlos Sousa. He was certainly the favourite. Live Portuguese TV coverage showed just how his decision to drop his tyre pressures before the start had really paid off. He was nearly a second and a half a kilometre faster than any of his rivals. He previously raced on this stage in a Baja in 1998. Experience of the conditions may have helped some of that advantage. The crowd certainly gave him some more. At one stage, passing Jean-Louis Schlesser without problems, despite the narrowness of the stage. He'd hoped for a good run, and he got it, fastest of all. Behind him, though, the rest of the VW Armada. South African Giniel de Villiers was the company's top finisher in 2006 in second position, indicating just how much the German team expect this to be a tight battle. The Tuaregs were going flat out right from the start. The South African was also delighted to see just how many fans had come to watch and to be faster than anyone, barring local man Sousa. Not so delighted, former World Rally champion Carlos Sainz. He won last year's opening stage, but El Matador didn't enjoy this year's Dakar opener at all. The former champion found the going tough. The sand, he said, offered little grip, and he felt that it masked the true potential of the race Tuaregs. Despite that, he was just 7 seconds slower than de Villiers. As if to prove how close things are going to be and that there's life in the old dog yet, Harry Vatanen exactly tied Sainz for time. Two of World Rallying superstars giving all they had. Perhaps the Finn's 4 wins on this event will give him the upper hand in the long run. After all, Sainz is only on his second Dakar. Mark Miller may not be the best known name in VW's lineup, but he has hopes of standing on the podium, and he was 5th on the opening stage. A clean sweep for Volkswagen. German lady Jutta Kleinschmidt's BMW hit trouble on the opener. Before the event, she said all she needed was a little good luck. Today, it was all bad. She lost nearly half an hour trying to restart her car after the engine cut out as she tried to avoid a stationary bike. As the only female winner of the event, she knows all the difficulties and the dangers. Teammate Gerlan Schischeritz stopped to offer assistance, but in the end there was little he could do. The all-female crew of the lead BMW had to hunt down the electrical malady themselves. Schischeritz still managed to race through the stage, beating all the Mitsubishis. The extreme skiing world champions BMW X-Raid was 6th quickest. Jutta Kleinschmidt, 43rd on the stage. Nasser Al Attiyah completed a strong showing for the BMWs. The Qatari driver split the factory Mitsubishis. He was 9th, 6 minutes behind the flying Sousa. As the Volkswagen Hares took off, perhaps the Mitsubishi team with some relief became the Tortoises. Nani Roma probably won't lose too much sleep tonight. He may be 7th, but his 4-minute and 52-second deficit to the leader can easily be reversed in one African stage. The message of the first stage won't be lost on Mitsubishi, however. Stefan Peter Hansel will be under no illusions that although he made it through in 8th, The Volkswagen team will force the pace all the way, and a puncture for Peter Hansel slowed him in his attack. Hiroshi Masuoka also suffered a puncture on the stage. The Japanese driver forced to stop and change his tyre, and this takes longer than ever now. As the crews have their hands-tight neck braces on, it's harder than ever to get the wheel out, change it and get back on board. The Sentinel buzzes aboard Luke Alphon's car. Who's that, he says? Is that for us? Co-driver Picard says, no, I don't think so. I can't see anybody. Let's see if we can let him go by. There is somebody behind. The Sentinel is the system that car drivers use to alert slower vehicles in front of their approach from behind. And this time it's Giniel de Villiers powering past. At this moment, Picard says, can you feel a puncture? Alphonse says, how have we picked up a puncture? But in fact, they have. It becomes all too obvious the rest of the stage will not be negotiable on three wheels, and they've got to stop. The stage is narrow and speeds are high, but there's no option but to find a safe passing place and get out and get on with it. Jean-Louis Schlesser was astonished to have stones thrown at his car by members of the crowd. The bad feeling towards him dates back to 2003's FIA Cross Country World Cup, fought out with Carlos Sousa. It ended in appeals and acrimony, but not between the drivers. Schlesser pulled over on today's stage to let Sousa's faster Volkswagen go past, and the Portuguese crew later thanked him for his sporting gesture. Ivan Muller, used to winning ice racing championships at this time of year, found things a little more slippery. This brush with a tree cost him some time, but no real damage was done. The Hummer of Robbie Gordon gained the attention of the crowds. They may even have taken a step or two back to let the Leviathan bellow past. His progress, though, was halted for around 5 minutes when the monster got stuck in thick mud. As ever, people power was the answer. That and a little help from a friendly JCB. A result sheet then to make great reading back at Volkswagen's hometown of Wolfsburg. Sousa wins. All 5 VW race Touaregs jammed into the top positions. And BMW next up, ahead of the best even of the Mitsubishis, courtesy of Guerlain Chicherit. Carlos Sousa said the crowd was just superb. We did a good job. We had a little difficult moment after crossing a stream. We lost visibility completely for about 30 seconds. And with all the spectators so close, I have to say I was a little worried. Slowed down there and lost a little time. But the big factor for us today was the vast crowd, and this win is for them.
I think it was a bit more difficult than we thought. You know, it was quite twisty and very, very sandy in the trees, you know, so it was very narrow at some places, and also the surface very slippery. So you had to be careful, you know. We didn't take any risks and just went at a nice pace. We caught Luke after about 40 or 50 kilometers, and we passed him. And then there were just many, many, many people on the stage as well, which was great to see, you know. But no, we're just happy to have finished it, and we enjoyed the stage.
I don't think driving in this kind of terrain with so much sand all the time is much fun, says Carlos Sainz. You really can't use the potential of the car at all. And from my point of view, the stage really isn't worth an awful lot.
In Mexico, we have huge crowds, but this was the biggest I've ever seen, and there was some point where it was probably 20 or 30 kilometers non-stop people. So it's exciting, and it's also extremely risky, and it's a little bit You know, it's a little bit scared as a driver because I don't want to hit someone, but you know, we're flat out and they're cheering for us, so it's really a lot of energy.
Et on a vachement subi. On avait quand même 11 voitures devant nous.
We had a little bit of a problem early on, says Gulen Chicherit. Just mopping the sweat from his brow. We had to stop a course and help Utah. There wasn't a lot we could do, so we continued, but fast stage, pretty difficult, but good result.
Donc voilà, disons que c'est une bonne première mise en jambe.
So after the forewarning of the Hummer come the real monsters of the track, the trucks. And in these soft, sandy conditions, even local heroine Elizabeth Giacinto was going to struggle. With all this weight on board, no amount of power is much of a help. With a narrow piste, passing for the bikes is tough, for the cars, very difficult, for the trucks, impossible. And there were traffic jams as well. Jean de Roy got stuck, losing a lot of time. He eventually made it out of the stage with help from his teammates. Arjen Brewer, another Dutchman, in trouble and getting stuck. The track fast becoming blocked. Vladimir Chagin was the fastest of the Kamaz drivers. The 2006 winner was in third place, but the stage was won by Gerard de Roy. The battle between Chagin and the Kamaz and de Roy in the Ginaf looks like being a long one. Through the mud, through the sand, through the trees, and through a baptism by fire for Hans Becks, they all somehow survived and made it out, eventually, in one piece. Day one completed. For day two, another foggy start expected. It's a short 67-kilometre special and then 425 kilometres driving to the port of Malaga. From there, Africa and the desert awaits us.